Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is Andy Francis, and if you're thinking, wait a minute, the Andy Francis from 3 episodes of Days of Our Lives back in 2015? Yep, that's me. All right, it was 2 episodes, but with that said, I am an actor, comedian, content creator, so in other words, I need an actual way to make money, which is why I've been brought here before the playoffs to help you guys navigate through some of your best NHL daily bets. And if you're thinking, why am I going to listen to this quasi Ralph Macchio lookalike over here? What the hell does this guy know about the NHL? Well, my friends, I am that rare American breed where for me, it's always been NHL first. I'm an NHL first guy. NHL followed by NFL, and that's about it. I'm a jack of few trades. Master of one, that's 100% not a saying. But last playoffs, when the Colorado Avalanche were 6-0 in the playoffs, they just swept the St. Louis Blues, and then they went up 2-0 on the Vegas Golden Knights, who were the other favorite to win the Stanley Cup. They looked unstoppable. I watched those games against Vegas, and I said, Vegas is going to go back to their building. They're going to win 2 in a row. Then there's going to be a highly contested Game 5. I believe Vegas pulls that out and then takes the full momentum of 3 straight games to home to close out the series. And I took the Vegas Golden Knights to win the series in 6 games, meaning I called that they were going to win 4 in a row after being down 2-0 and Colorado looking like an unstoppable juggernaut that the whole world was saying, this team may not even lose a game on the way to the Cup. And I said, Vegas in 6, and when I said this, my mentions, they looked like Elon Musk's over these past few days. I was called many things that would definitely not be allowed to be said on Days of Our Lives. However, as history went on to show, Vegas, they went on winning 4 straight, and I turned like $50 into thousands. And then the following round, I saw the Lightning lose Game 1 to the Islanders, and I kind of knew how that series was going to end. I'm an Islander fan. And I took them to win the Cup at those boosted odds, and they had a cakewalk through the Stanley Cup Finals. Even last week, if you check OddsShopper's social media, I said before the Tampa Bay Lightning went into the game versus Florida, who was on a 13-game win streak, I say the Lightning is going to send a message for the playoffs tonight. They're going to smack the division leader, the favorite in the East, and then they ended up crushing them 8-4. I have a decent gift of NHL foresight, not like one-eyed Raven level, but I'm confident that over time I'll be able to earn your trust. But you know what? Enough about me. How are you guys doing? How have you been? My guess is if you're watching this video, you're probably hovering around a 5, but maybe with some of these picks, we will get you all the way up. I don't know what, a 6 maybe. So today, the day before the playoffs start, I'm going to talk about my favorite series bets. Tomorrow, when the games actually start, we'll get into individual bets for the games. But I'm going to talk about my favorite series bets. And not all of them, because some, it's just too, like if somebody tells you, oh no, I know who's going to win between the Blues and the Wild, just never listen to them again. How are they going to know this? It's going to be so highly contested. There's no way to truly confidently know. If I had to pick, I'd say the Blues with their confidence of much of that Stanley Cup team still being on there. Then they brought Saad, traded for Buskevich, and they've added pieces there. So I would think that maybe they can squeak it out, but Minnesota's been unbelievable this year. They have home ice advantage. So I don't know. I'm just going to tell you the favorites or my favorites that I'd feel comfortable putting my back-to-back All-Valley championships on. All right? Is that fair? So it wouldn't be right unless I started with my favorite Stanley Cup bet from a few weeks ago that I've mentioned several times on the OddsShopper TikTok channel, and that is the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I got the Tampa Bay Lightning to win the Cup at plus 1,100, and I only knew this because of OddsShopper. Like, I went to OddsShopper, and they showed that DraftKings Sportsbook was the only site that had them at plus 1,100. All the other sites had them at plus 1,000. So because of OddsShopper, I was able to get an extra 100. It's a free 100 if you think about it. And you would be wise to always just quickly check OddsShopper before placing a bet somewhere. It's like if there was a feature when you were about to check out on a card on a website and it just quickly scanned all the other websites to be like, no, don't buy it yet. We found it over here for so-and-so. So always check out OddsShopper before you're going to make a bet to make sure you're getting the best price. And that's what I did with the Stanley Cup Tampa Bay Lightning bet. And obviously, if I have them to go to the finals in my bracket, I'm obviously going to take them to take out the Leafs in round one. So that's my first pick. It's going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning coming in at plus 100 on BetMGM. And by the way, if you go to BetMGM and you make a deposit and use the promo code OddsShopper and you bet on an NBA game and any team makes a 3-pointer, you win $200. So you bet 10 and then you get $200 if a team makes a 3-pointer. I got news for you. If you lose that bet, I'm not a signs guy, but you should probably quit this. If you put up 10 on a game where you're going to win 200 if either team hits a 3 and you lose, not only should you stop betting, you need to take a look in the mirror and start looking up exorcists and poltergeist people, because that would be next level. That would be life giving you a sign. Okay. So back to those Tampa Bay Lightning. What's wild to me, and this is absolutely wild, is that the Lightning are somehow underdogs in this series. Like, it almost makes me think that is somebody in Vegas? Like, does somebody know something that other people don't? How is this possible? Last season, Tampa Bay, who had already won the Cup the previous year, they started out on the road for their first 2 series. In round 1 against Florida, round 2 against Carolina, and they were favored in both of those series. So how in God's name, this time around, is Tampa the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, who now has Steven Stamkos back to his 100-point form, along with, the other litany of stars they have, Point, Kucherov, Hedman, you name it, Vasilevsky. How are they underdogs? It makes no sense for Vegas to favor a perennial choke artist team, a team who blew a 3-1 series lead against the Canadiens last year and then couldn't even beat the Blue Jackets the year before that on their home ice in the bubble the year after they lost Bobrovsky, Panarin, Duchesne. Toronto couldn't even beat them on their own home ice during the bubble. And I'm supposed to believe they're going to be the first team to take out the Lightning in 3 years? I'm supposed to believe them over a battle-tested team that's won back-to-back cups and has not even lost 2 games in a row during that stretch, during both of those cup runs. Do you believe that? They've never lost 2 in a row in the last 8 series. But no, Toronto's going to do it. Toronto. And now Toronto, they don't even have headline material. Because maybe you could say like, oh, nobody gives us a chance. It's us versus the world. Vegas thinks we're going to lose. We're the underdogs in the series. No, actually, they have you as the favorite. If anything, it's going to give Tampa some bulletin board material, even though I don't believe in bulletin board material. Imagine that. Imagine a guy's going to the ring saying, I'm just going to play kind of okay today. Wait, what did they say? They said we're the underdogs? Now I'm actually going to play real playoff hockey. I've never believed in any of that. But regardless, Toronto, in my opinion, they have one way to win this series, and it's sheer offensive firepower. All their snipers gots to be sniping. Austin Matthews, the Rocket Richard winner, the MVP candidate, he's got to be full Bradley Cooper out there. Full American sniper. Him, Marner, Matthews, who I mentioned, Tavares, Nylander, all of them. All of them. It's the only way they're winning this series. If they score 3+ goals per night, that's their one way to win the series. But Tampa, on the other hand, they can win this in a whole multitude of ways, starting with their Vezina winning goalie, their Conn Smythe winning goalie, their stud 8-foot-tall goalie, Andrei Vasilevsky. That guy can steal a series on his own. Then you got the Tampa Bay power play, who come this time of year, I swear to you, it's the most vicious I've ever seen. That starting 5 of Hedman, Kucherov, Stamkos, Point, and then Killorn in front of the net. During the playoffs, when the refs swallow their whistles, and there's a bunch of these 2-1 games. Like, look, Tampa played Carolina last season. Game 1 ended 2-1. Game 2 ended 2-1. They played the Islanders, game 1, 2-1. 2-1s are all over the place. So when you give Tampa one power play and they score on it and they win a game 2-1, that power play is the difference in so many games. I remember Florida had a huge outburst against them game 1 last season. They were down, Tampa was down 5-3 in the third. Gave them 2 power plays, 5-5, and then scored a breakaway to win it 6-5. This Tampa team, you want to go 2-1, they'll play that way. You want to go shootout, they'll play that way. They got many ways to beat you, which is why I'm taking them at plus 100. Take 100 from the free 200 that you're going to get when somebody hits a three-pointer and throw it on Tampa. And by the way, we will be getting some NHL type promos for the playoffs, but since the playoffs don't technically start till tomorrow and there's that one meaningless game tonight, they're not available just yet, but they will be. So for now, if you want to do it tonight, you use that NBA three-pointer deposit, and then you put 100 of that on the Tampa Bay Lightning at plus 100. Moving on from there, my second favorite pick would be the New York Rangers at minus 110 against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are also minus 110. This series seems eerily similar to the Penguins series versus the Islanders 3 seasons ago when the Islanders made the playoffs for the first time in a while. It was their first time under Trotz. And in that series, even though they had a home ice, the Islanders were big underdogs. Not big underdogs, but they were underdogs with home ice against the Penguins because the Penguins had all this playoff experience. Well, in that series, the Islanders just, swept them. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, they haven't won a playoff series. I mean, they're 0-3 in their last 3 playoff series. They've been eliminated in the first round 3 straight seasons, and I don't see how this is any different. They're starting on the road, and then you have Shesterkin, the Vezina winner, definitely, potential MVP winner, Hart Trophy, versus Tristan Jarry. It's one of the two. But go look at Tristan Jarry last playoffs against the Islanders. See what he looked like in his only trip to the playoffs. And when you take that versus Shesterkin with the Rangers, who are amped up, with a coach who has done very well in the playoffs, give me the Rangers. There's no reason that the Rangers aren't going to win this year. Pittsburgh's still relying on the same core that won the Stanley Cup in 2009. It's still Malkin, Letang, Crosby out there. This is going to be their farewell song. They're going to lose. Malkin, Letang are going to be out of there, and Pittsburgh is finally going to do what they've been delaying and putting off for like 4 or 5 years now, and that is turning the page on those older guys. That's going to be it for Malkin and Letang. They'll probably keep Crosby. But the New York Rangers are my next favorite. After that, it's a little tricky. I'm obviously not going to sit here and tell you, oh, take Colorado. I got a great pick. They're minus 600. There's not a lot of value in that. Do I think Colorado's going to stomp them in 4 or 5? Max 6, but I don't think 6. Yeah, but I don't want to give you that. So next, I'm probably going to go with, it's half as bad because I think they're minus 300 or 350. The Florida Panthers, who I think are going to destroy the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals are just the washed Capitals, for real. They are relying, just like the Penguins, on the same core from people who were drafted in the mid-2000s with Ovechkin and Backstrom. And, we love them, but they haven't stood up in the playoffs these last couple of years because they're old and slow, and it's not their fault because they're in their mid-30s. Only really Kuznetsov and Karlsson are in the back end of their, or front end for Kuznetsov, maybe back end for Karlsson, are in their prime. And I got them losing in 4 or 5. Last year, they lost in 5 with home ice to the Bruins. And the year before that, they lost in 5 to the Islanders. I see another loss in 5, potentially 4 for the Washington Capitals. So give me the Florida Panthers. And if you really want to get squirrely, give me them in a sweep. I know there's not many sweeps in the NHL, but if there's going to be one, I think it's going to be in that series and maybe the Colorado series because it's just a brutal matchup for those slow old Washington Capitals, that offensive juggernaut over there in where do they play? Fort Lauderdale, I think. Yeah. And then lastly, this will be like it's a semi-bonus pick, but I do believe it. Give me the Boston Bruins to kind of upset the Carolina Hurricanes. I've been trashing on Carolina for a long time. Their fans definitely hate me because I've always looked at them as a scam good team. Like everyone's like, oh, they're a
they're a cup contender. No, they're not. The last 3 seasons, every time they played a real team, they were eliminated in 4 or 5. Last year, they lost in 5 to Tampa. Year before that, in 5 to Boston. Year before that, swept by Boston. Wait, who are they playing again this year? Oh, that's right, Boston, who is 8-1 versus them in the last 3 postseasons. So the people in Carolina tell you, oh, not this Carolina team, not like it's the same exact coaching staff and most of the same exact core on both of the teams. Yeah, so give me Boston at plus 100, same price that they have the Lightning at. And also Carolina, they're starting 2 goalies. Both of their starting goalies, or their starter and their backup, are not available at the top of the series. So you're playing a third string goalie games 1 and 2, and then what? You're going to rush back your starter who's going to be on the road in game 3? How's he going to look rushing back from injury? And he already has. Remember when I mentioned Toronto blowing that 3-1 series lead to the Canadiens last year? Yeah. Guess who was a part of that team? Guess who was the goaltender on that team? Remember who couldn't beat the Jackets the year before that? Yeah, guess who was on that team? The goalie who, if he comes back, would be Carolina's. But until then, it's just going to be their third string Eastern European guy. I forgot his last name already. Or it might be Russian. However, I ain't betting on him. This ain't Johan Hedberg in 2001. Give me Boston in a slight upset, plus 100 to take the series. So that's what I got for you in terms of the series, my favorite series bets. Tomorrow we'll start with my best bets for those individual games. Game 1s are tough, but we'll see what I can wiggle out of there for you. Before I go, just do me a quick favor if you don't mind. Do me a personal favor, as Jack Klompus would say. Like this video, subscribe to the Odd Shopper channel. Let them know that hockey's got some life. It's got a home. ESPN gave it a deal. Now why don't you give it a deal here on the Odd Shopper channel by subscribing, liking these videos that I post. I will be back tomorrow with my favorite Game 1 bets. I will see you then. Take it easy.